Hello, ladies, and welcome to this new video. I have the honor to be in his studio. His name is Brian Burk. Hello, Brian. How are you doing today?
Very good. Thank you for having me on the show, Alex.
Of course, of course. So you're the owner of Rewind Miami. It's an anti-aging company. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, what we do is essentially take a look at people's hormone levels and we look for areas where they're suboptimal. We take a look at someone's medical profile and we take a look at their health goals and we perform an assessment to try to allow them to achieve their health goals by optimizing their hormone levels.
And this is very important. So I have the chance to meet you through friends in common, get to know you a little bit, work on myself also about my level of energy. And so I wanted to do a video because this is something that I've never heard before in France. It's very important for men, also female, that we will talk to women, for everyone to be able to test our hormones level. Talking about testosterone today. This is the big topic that I wanted to talk about you because is it directly related? So if we have a lack of testosterone, will we have a lack of libido also? Testosterone and libido, is it linked?
Yeah, we find a big link. Number one, there's a questionnaire which is on our website, which is called the questionnaire. And it helps, it's 10 questions and it was created by a group of doctors to identify low levels of testosterone in males. The very first and most important question is, are you experiencing a decrease in your libido? That's number one. Number 7, which is also a very important question, is, are you having less hard erections? So testosterone not only will impact your libido, but it also can impact the ability to have erections. And so both of those things are really related. What we find just practice-wide is that obviously you can have some guys that will come to the practice and they'll be low in terms of testosterone and their libido will still be fine. But we find that the majority of guys that come to us and they have lower levels of testosterone, they actually are suffering lower libido. And this is, I don't like to be too graphic, so I try to speak, in terms of usually using clinical terms. But, there's a term called morning wood, which is your erection when you wake up in the morning as a male. When you're 18 years old, every single time you wake up in the middle of the night, every single time you wake up in the morning, you typically tend to have an erection. It's how our bodies operate. Yeah. As we age, and this happened to me, so it's very personal. When I started taking testosterone and then realized that I was low, I was, I believe, about 42. It wasn't that I wasn't having those erections. It was more the frequency and the strength of those were becoming less and less. And I feel looking back on it now that if I hadn't gone on testosterone, it would have been something that was just taken away from me gradually over time that I might not even realize that it ever existed. And, we talk really frankly with a lot of our clients, and we find a lot of them express the same thing. And obviously, as a man, if you're having difficulty with erections, that is going to roll over into your relationships.
That's true. This is why, all the ladies that are watching this video, their problem is sometimes they feel that they're not good enough for their partner. And I wanted to do this video to tell you ladies that I think that men needs to test their testosterone, but also their energy levels, which is something that we don't do usually. So Brian, would you say like at age 20, 25, we should still test our level? Is it good to know where are we now, what we can increase, what we have to change? What age we should be testing our level?
I always say if there was one thing that I could change about my own personal health care, I wish that my doctors would run testosterone levels even starting at 18. I know that sounds really young, but you would have a trend.
Yeah.
The way that we know when things are off in our bodies and over time are trends, right? So if you take a look at someone who gains weight, they typically don't gain 40 pounds in 1 year. It's usually 2 pounds here, 2 pounds there, 2 pounds there. It's a trend.
Yeah.
And so, excuse me, I think that it's the same with your hormone levels. I'm sure that if I had the historical data of my own testosterone level trended over time, I would see in my, late 20s that it was starting to drop. In my early 30s, it was probably a little bit lower.
Yeah.
Then in my late 30s, a little bit lower. And each time, as you age and those levels drop, it becomes more and more difficult to stay in shape. And that obviously impacts your energy levels, right? So I was gaining weight over time, slowly over time. And we see a lot of times, take the average male who's in shape at 25. If he gained 1 pound a year for 20 years, he goes from being in decent shape to being obese by 45. And in America, as you know, there's a 43.6% obesity rate in adults. And so it's trending negatively, unfortunately. So yes, I wish that I had my, I wish that I was smart enough back at 18 to ask my doctors.
Yeah.
Now, many might refuse, but if you can get a doctor and if you can explain to them that I want this for my health further down the road, then, you might get a doctor who will work with you.
And this is something that is very important. As I said, in France, I have never heard about that. So a friend of mine here in Miami talked to me about you. I came to see you and I was feeling very low in energy. It could be during the night, in the morning. I was very low because I'd never checked my levels. This is for us men, but there's a lot of women that will listen to us and it's still very important for them. Can you explain to us what is testosterone for women and why is it important for them also to check their level?
Exactly. Women end up suffering from the same basic issues that men do as well. They have many females that come to us have low testosterone. Low testosterone impacts your energy. When you go to the gym, if you have lower levels of testosterone, it's more difficult to add muscle. It's more difficult to lose fat, and it negatively impacts libido as well, just like for a man. There's a misconception in terms of estrogen versus testosterone females. They're measured in different units of measure, or I should say they're reported in different units of measure. So there's actually more, by weight, by number of molecules, testosterone in females than there is estrogen. It's just reported a little differently. Of course, estrogen is more relevant, more important to females. But again, they also suffer from low levels. And we work with so many females, and many of our clients, as we talked about offline, use this as sort of a sounding board where they can talk to us like we're therapists. And they also will discuss that they're having a hard time with libido. They have more vaginal dryness. There are some physical issues associated with it as well. And so both males and females, and they all feel bad for their partners.
Yeah.
You know how many times that we hear that, and this is not something that's easily communicated with between partners is, for some people, it's hard to say that it's not, or maybe people are used to hearing it's not you, it's me. But in many cases, they're just people are being true.
Yeah.
But it's hard to say, hey, I'm having a hard time having erection. And as men, I know men don't normally talk about that.
No, they're not. They're not. And so this is my next question, because I want to tell you, ladies, if you have your man that has a lack of libido, in most of cases, it's not your fault. It's not because he's not attracted to you. It's not because he doesn't feel anything for you. It's maybe based on his emotion and his levels, which is very important. How can these ladies communicate with a man? What would be your advice on, okay, I've watched this video, maybe we need to do some testing, because it should be a we, not you have to go get tested. It should be like a couple things.
Exactly. Well, what's great about when couples, I have this amazing couple that came to me about 9 months ago. He's from Norway. She's Venezuelan.
Okay.
They've been together about 20 years. They came to us and he was slightly obese and she was about 30%, 31% body fat. She used to be a model. So they're both, going through this middle age, low energy sort of period of time. And both of them just came yesterday. He's gone from 28% body fat to 9%.
Wow.
Crazy.
That is
so he was slightly obese and now he's got like a 6-pack. He's probably got an 8-pack. And she has gone from 31% body fat down to 16.7.
And that
incredible.
Which for a lady, it's very great, right?
It's very low. It's very low. Those would both be considered athlete,
Wow.
almost so low that it would be difficult to sustain long term. But they both look amazing. What females don't realize is that they also need to weight lift.
Yep.
Too many females think that they should only do cardiovascular exercise to get in shape. She has put on 8 pounds of muscle. So her metabolism, she's burning about 80 more calories a day, and she's lost about 21 pounds of fat.
Wow.
So amazing, but she's only lost about 13 pounds. And he's crazy. He has gained 24 pounds of muscle, and he lost about 34 pounds of fat, 35.
Wow.
So total transformations in 9 months. They're doing it together. They even got a nutritionist. They got a trainer. So I think it's one of those things that as you're aging and you're both feeling those lower levels of energy and you're both struggling to get in shape, it's a great thing to say, hey, let's do something about our health.
Yep.
Too many times it's easy for us to say, let's go out for a crazy dinner, or let's go party, or let's go on a vacation. How about couples getting into being healthy together, going to the doctor, having their hormones assessed? Because I think that as this couple is experiencing, it's almost like they're going to Europe. Yeah. They're going to Europe this summer for a vacation. And so they're really training, and they're definitely going off of their diet. But so it's amazing. It's nice to see. So I think, both males and females suffer from the same thing.
Yeah. And this is very important. So if you feel that you have a lack of libido, it's not you against your partner. It's like both of you can go and double check your level. Because you say that communication sometimes could be tricky. You don't want to hurt your husband, like self-confidence and ego. So how can a woman communicate about the lack of libido and wanted to just test the level, for example?
I think honesty in a soft way, because the guy, I think most men might be looking for an opening.
Yep, that's true.
Right? Like if a female can take it in the right way, or she can be angry, or she could be upset, or she might be feeling hurt. Sometimes all of us, when we're hurt, I think we can tend to strike out.
That's true.
If your feelings are feeling a little hurt because you're not feeling that you're attractive to your husband, then maybe you might not say things in the right way. The husband, may still be attracted, in all likelihood is very attracted still to the wife. But if he's having a hard time with his libido, then clearly, it's difficult for him to communicate. So I think that just with a little kid gloves, or say, hey, how's the energy level? Or if you notice things like if your husband or boyfriend is having a hard time taking weight off, if they're a very good indicator is at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night, are males dozing off after dinner? That is a huge sign that your levels of testosterone are low and your energy levels are low. So if you're taking a nap after dinner, how are you going to have the energy to have sex with your beautiful wife?
Yeah, that would be not
impossible, right? I mean, if you're so tired, and I look back on my my grandfather, and when I was a little kid, I never realized it. That I had the same issue in my early 40s, but I would look after dinner and he would always be taking a little nap.
Yeah.
And I felt like that. I was that guy when I was 42. I was taking a nap at 6 o'clock, and I guess now I realize I was becoming sort of my grandfather, just lower energy. And he was probably suffering from low testosterone and a long day of work. So I think it's just be gentle, open the communication lines, try to work with one another, show some sensitivity. And also don't be afraid. I would say to the females, don't be afraid to also express the same, that your energy levels might not be what they were. Your libido might not be what it was, because you're having a difficult time, getting back in shape as well. Yeah. I actually, one male, and I think I'll remember this line forever. And he was a good friend. He said, Brian, I'd like to have my lab levels checked, because I don't think I'm being as good of a husband as I should.
Wow. But it's not everyone that can say that.
But he had seen my transformation. He hadn't seen me in about a year.
Yeah.
And I had lost 35 pounds. And so he was asking me how it was done. And I was telling him I'm low in testosterone and all of the issue. I was being open.
Yeah.
It's not always easy to say, oh, I'm super low in testosterone and I was dragging and I had low energy. And I'm open about it now. But it wasn't easy to admit then that I was depressed. My libido was lower. So when I opened up to him, that's when he opened up to me, and he said, look, I'd like to be a better husband. I'd like to have my levels checked. and you know, he was a really athletic guy when he was younger. He was about 30, 40 pounds overweight. And of course, he was low in hormone levels.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And 4 months later, he had lost about 25 pounds. He looked like a different guy. And so it was amazing to see, because he was a personal friend. So to see that transformation was incredible.
Yeah, it's funny because I coach a lot of men also in France in the US. And most of the time, they don't know that they have a problem. Why? They don't know what is happening and they will not seek help. So ladies, what you can do now is to share this video or just go on Brian's website, you do the test, you can contact him and you engage with him. So if you like what you're hearing, maybe your husband will also come with you. This is something that I've seen a lot. You can engage the first step and they will follow you because maybe they are scared to do the first step. And that's okay to do it.
Exactly. You know, what we find also can happen amongst couples is if one person of the couple is getting in great shape, there could be a little bit of jealousy, or, you know, some people could be jealous, or it could motivate the partner.
Motivation for sure.
And I think that people need to, as they see their significant other being healthy, also trying to pick up their own health.
And that's your mission, ladies. So you have to visit Brian's website. I will include the link just right below. And there's a questionnaire, right? They can just look at some
questions. It's called the Adam Questionnaire. It's 10 questions. Any, you know, females could probably self-diagnose their husbands, by the way. They could read through the list and say, hey, has my husband's libido decreased? Has his mental focus been off? Is he having a harder time concentrating? Is he tired in the evening? Is he gaining weight? I mean, it's common sense items.
Yeah.
But when you add them up, it adds to, in all likelihood, you're probably low in hormone levels.
Yeah, and that's true. When I first met you, when you asked me some question, it was very basic question, but it made me realize that, oh, I need to do something. So I was at 20%, I guess.
Yeah, 20% body
fat.
I
went to 13. Now it's 13.
Yeah,
I'm
he's
going
looking
low.
amazing.
I'm going for the six-pack.
Listen, the greatest part I think about my job of what I do is I might not see someone for 6-9 months. Sometimes it's 3 months. And when they walk through the door, I'm like a kid at Christmas.
Opening the gifts.
I can't even believe my eyes sometimes. When you walk through the door, I was like, oh my God, who is this guy? You look so different.
Yeah,
you know?
and I feel so happy and so in good shape, and it just changed my life. It's not just libido, it changed a man's mind, you know, like energy and focus and motivation, which is very important.
Well, I think also, you know, when you have that positive energy and you feel better about yourself,
that's important.
You know, that rubs off on the world. The world picks up on that. You know, there's always two ways to interact with the world, right? If you're always walking around, I mean, you're a happy guy anyway, but now you're even happier.
Yeah.
So it's like people are more responsive to you. I sometimes question, you know, if people are in better shape and they're happier with themselves, right? So if you go to a clinic, for example, or if you get in shape, as you start to become in better shape, you get happier, you have more energy, you start eating healthier. It's like you're on a positive upward cycle. You're starting to be nice to people. The world is starting to interact to you nicer because you're nicer. The world sometimes gives us back what we give them.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, so sometimes if we can have negative opinions, or I've noticed myself, sometimes when you start to get upset with a you know, certain situation at work, or with maybe cable is out and you're trying to get the cable turned back on, it does no good to scream at the person at the cable company, right? It's not
doesn't
gonna
help.
It's only going to get your cable turned on less fast. So just to say, hey, if you were me and you were frustrated like I am, how would you respond? Is the way I try to turn around when I feel a little bit too negative, and I try to get them to understand my feelings.
For sure.
And I try not to push out the negative energy. I try to only give out positive energy. So I think when people get in better shape, they feel better, they have more energy, and then it responds to them.
Yeah, and you will see that your man will change and the relationship will change and the intimacy also will change. Because when you have like more libido and more energy, it's kind of like a new relationship, a new marriage. Even if you're like 20, 30, 40, 50 years old, I really encourage you to go test your level, talk to Brian, male or female together, or what you need to do it only on yourself. You will see that there's a lot of change. And when you do the questionnaire, if you want to work with Brian, it's just amazing. I can just recommend you this guy. He's amazing. He will help you. Brian, the last question I have was for specifically libido. what are the tips that you can share to your clients? Because there is the level energy, but maybe like going to the gym, of course, maybe eating well. What could be other tips that you can share with us?
I think the number one thing that I try to tell people is that, and you sort of will know this because it was a process, right? There's not one moment that you take an injection or a pill that you feel amazing. This is not about drinking 3 glasses of wine and you have a buzz, right? Or if you drink alcohol, it's an immediate feedback. This is an ongoing process. It takes time. It takes work. It takes it takes time to get your levels right. Also, your levels didn't decline in a week. They're not going to come back in a week. So I always try to set expectations, which this, like what happened with me. I didn't feel that I injected something in that day. I felt a magic moment. I just was a different person 5 months later. And I realized it because I was bouncing around. I had a little bit of energy in my step. And so I think what my advice is always, take it slowly. The levels are going to increase. Over time, you're going to feel more and more energy. You're going to lose a little bit more weight. You're going to look in the mirror. You're going to be a little bit happier with yourself. That confidence, you start looking a little bit better. The confidence starts to come back. Of course, everything that you do during the day requires less of your energy because you're stronger. So at the end of the day, you have more energy. The libido starts to come back a little bit. You have a good intimate night with someone. You're more motivated to have more intimacy going forward. And it's a positive, it's like I said, I like to think of it as a positive cycle that people are like I was. I worked myself out of a little bit of a hole. I think that it's just working yourself out a little bit out of a hole. And I also believe that over time, as you get in better shape, the erections become firmer. You're getting the nightly erections more. And so I always think, is your libido increased because you know that you can have an erection and a strong erection? Of course. If you're doubting yourself and you're doubting the confidence, then you're less likely to have a strong libido.
What I love in what you say is like our brain can control. If we focus on I don't have libido, my husband doesn't have libido, you're always negative,
Of course.
So you bring negativity in the house, in the room, in the bed. That's not okay. So if you work a little bit on yourself, if you just tell yourself, okay, today I will bring some positive energy, everything is like, it's another cycle, right?
It's a little, it's like, it's a little change at a time. What I realize what happens to many people, they try to get in shape. They're working really hard. Maybe their hormone levels aren't as good. Maybe their diet isn't as good as they think it is. And then they give up.
That's true.
Then they just start thinking, well, if I'm not getting in shape, why shouldn't I have the ice cream? And then they go further into the hole. It's the first step is the most important. The first step, you take a positive step, you take another positive step, you take another positive step. If your partner is struggling, take your partner along with you, and you guys can both do it together, right? It's something that impacts males and females, and we see it because we work with both males and females, and again, they all have the common, these common issues that they're dealing with, and it comes down to how can you get in shape if you don't have energy? If your hormone levels are low, you're not going to have high energy levels. And so you have to address that. And then I think you get in better shape because your energy levels are improving. And you're like a miracle. Like I said, it took a little bit of time, but it slowly builds, it slowly builds, it slowly builds. And you see it happening, right?
And that's why I say, like, okay, if you want to boost your men's libido, it is possible, right? It is possible. It's of course your levels, but what was very important for me was everything, a 360, like going back to the gym, eating healthy, trying to take time for myself to rest also, but be intimate with my wife. I mean, just touching, looking at each other, that was very, very important. So it's kind of like all of these things that you need to do, but the number one thing is to test your level, because I know you take, all the ladies I coach, my man doesn't want to have sex with me. It's my fault. I gain a little bit of weight. I'm not doing well. I know he's cheating on me. There's a lot of things going on in your mind. You need to talk to Brian to make sure that your level and his level are okay. If not, you work on it, you go back to the gym, you apply everything that we're sharing here, and you will see that you will have another life. Not just the libido, but all the life will be different.
You know what's crazy too? I always hear a lot from people that they that the wife or someone doesn't think that they're that you're attracted to them any longer because they gained a little weight. I'm a man. Do you know how many? If my girlfriend gained 5 or 10 pounds, I don't care.
We don't see it.
Like seriously, when you love someone, you're it's the farthest thing from your mind. Of course, if someone is gaining weight and becoming unhealthy, anyone, of course, as a good significant other, you're concerned with someone's health, and you don't want someone to be at an unhealthy weight or to encounter some of the issues of being too heavy. But it doesn't change the attraction when you love someone if they gained a couple pounds. That's usually not what's going on. And I think it's a big misconception. It's usually that the other person, so that's not you, ladies, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's usually a problem that's probably going on with the guy.
And that it's something that we cannot see when we have a lack of libido, lack of energy, lack of testosterone. We cannot see this on a guy. So you don't know, he doesn't know, but it creates trouble in the relationship. So we need to work on it. It's
true. And I'm also doing, I know we tend to consider people low in testosterone as being out of shape.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do a video soon with a friend of mine who has his own testosterone channel on YouTube. And he was in amazing shape, but he had low testosterone. Wow. There are still many men that fight and that can continue to be in good shape. So it's not just, we tend to, be heavier as our levels of testosterone are low, but men can have low levels of testosterone and still be in good shape relative to like their physical being. And so it's what you said, have your levels checked. First of all, it's a great data point.
Yeah.
It's a great data point to have. You'll know where you're along the spectrum. Yeah. I've started to consider that the good hormones such as testosterone, vitamin D, B12, there's certain things that you always want to be towards the upper end.
Yep, that's true.
The unhealthy ones, like we have a cardiovascular inflammation marker, you want to be on the low side of that one. You want to be on the low side of cholesterol. So common sense, a lot of times when we break things down into common sense, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? But we overcomplicate things,
And we need to come back to the basic, basically.
So I would even say for men and females that go to their own primary care physicians, because too often a primary care physician will tell them that it's okay for your age. You shouldn't accept that. Just because you're a 50-year-old male doesn't mean that you have to live with having testosterone levels of very low.
Yeah.
Now we have the ability to change that. I'm the perfect example. I'm 51. I feel amazing. I feel like I'm smarter than my 20-year-old self. And so I'm in better shape than even my 20-year-old self was. I live a healthier lifestyle now. And, having very good hormone levels allows me to have a lifestyle that I didn't think was possible.
Yeah.
So it's, regardless of your physical health, if you're dealing with libido issues or energy issues, both male and female, at least have the levels checked.
Yeah.
And it's critical. And do you know what? I will tell you one thing, because you have a worldwide audience.
Yeah.
This is worldwide. My one thing relative to COVID, which has been a huge disappointment with the news agencies and with all governments in the world, is one of the biggest factors of a negative outcome has been obesity.
Wow. Yeah, that's true.
It's it doesn't matter what country you're in. People who are obese and who have health issues related to obesity and cardiovascular disease, and they call them comorbidities. The one way that people could have helped and can help their health long term is to lose weight and get in shape. And our government's had an opportunity
to work on it,
to scare this into people.
Yeah.
And they didn't. Unfortunately, they didn't do that enough. And I hope that people can learn through this, that we've gone all through this traumatic experience for the last year, that health is number one important.
It is the most important thing. So what is your website? I will include the link, but just to make sure, if you want to go test your level, do the questionnaire, talk to Brian, what will be your website?
It is www. It's a long one. Rewind antiagingmiami.com. Usually, if you Google Rewind Miami, it shows up.
Yeah.
But the website is rewindantiagingmiami.com.
Okay, I will include the link just right below in the description. Brian, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, the studio is amazing. The view, I cannot just, this is the best.
We're going to have to do it again, right?
Yeah,
it's incredible.
It's just so good. Thank you so much one more time. Ladies, if you have any question, just leave your question right below. We will be here to answer. And remember that you can do the free questionnaire, talk to Brian, and you make sure that you will change your life for you and then for your relationship. Thank you so much, Brian.
Take care.
Bye-bye, ladies.
J'espère vraiment que vous avez apprécié cette vidéo. Si vous voulez continuer votre petit voyage vers le bonheur amoureux, le bonheur personnel également, n'oubliez pas de vous abonner à cette chaîne YouTube. Et d'ailleurs, si vous avez apprécié cette vidéo, j'en ai une sur le même sujet qui va pouvoir vous aider à vraiment obtenir les résultats que vous désirez. Je vous invite à cliquer juste là, sur cette vidéo, sur ce lien, et vous pouvez continuer à profiter de vidéos gratuites sur YouTube. À très vite les amis. Ciao, ciao.